Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I want to give you a preview of some of the reels I'll be working on. This one is all for one customer. This is Jim. Jim is in Westchester County, New York City. For those of you that know the geography or don't know the geography, that's north of New York City, right around the Connecticut border. And Jim, from what we were talking about, fishes in Long Island, both the North Shore and the South Shore. He does pretty much ocean fishing and the like, and he's brought me a group of Penn reels. Now normally I would tell you as we're doing the previews to these that I'll preview the videos that we're going to do. However, almost all of these reels have a video in my library, so if you're looking at any one of these and you would like to find out how to work on these or service these, then please just check my library. You're going to find, for the most part, the reel or reels similar to it that you can use to do that. Well, Jim tells me he's going to go on a trip to Ireland, and he left these with me, and if I could please tune him up before his season starts in late March or early April, then he would be appreciative, and that's what we'll do. So I'm going to work on these over time as opposed to I got to get them all out tomorrow. So let's give you an idea of some of the reels that he has. The first one up is a classic. It's a Penn 309. It's the biggest in the Penn Peerless series. It's got the maroon side plates on it. It was made in the USA. It's a large reel. This got a capacity of about 350 yards of 20-pound monofilament. It's a beast. So when I was looking at this reel earlier, I noticed that we have a bent worm. So if you look at this worm drive here, it is not straight, and the reel as a result is stuck. You can't move the handle on this reel. And you can see, just look at the gap on the top and on the bottom, and then look in the gap in the middle there. It's pulled all the way to the point where the line guide is right up against the guard, and it's a noticeable bow. So that's going to have to be replaced. And when you go to replace that, when you're ordering your replacement parts, make sure you replace the line guide pawl as well. Chances are that got in that position by somebody trying to muscle it, and when that got muscled, those forks on the line guide are most likely damaged. So the pawl is only a couple of dollars. Make sure that you order it in addition to the worm gear. That's a good point to raise about buying a reel used. I mean, Jim knows this one and knows it's not working, but if you were to evaluate this one, don't just assume because it's jammed or it's not working very well that, oh, this line caught in it or something like that. Don't jump to conclusions. Take a look all around, and interestingly enough, I guess it's more of a trained eye that was able to see that it's a bowed worm gear as opposed to anything else. But do your inspections before you make the purchase, and either pay the right price or don't overpay for a reel where you may have that. All right, well, Jim does some big fishing out there, and this one is a classic. This is a Penn 66. Now, we did one on the 68, so you have the Long Beach series, and the Long Beach series goes from the Penn 60 to the 65. Those are on one format. They're a smaller format. And then you have the larger format, which is the 66, the 67, and the 68. The only difference on the three reels is the size of the carriage, the frame, and the spool capacity on the line. So this is the narrowest. The 67 gets a little wider, and the 68 is very wide. But you can interchange these side plates if you have a broken side plate on either side, and you can fish the same way with this reel. It's just a matter of how much line did you get on. And Jim left the line on here just to show me it's been a long time. This is the old linen or the Dacron line, and they just wanted to show me how it was when he got that reel. The JD on there, I believe, is a friend of his that owned the reel, and Jim now has that reel. So here's another example of that. So this one is the Long Beach series we talked about earlier. This is the 65. Same thing with that linen line. And this one's a little bit later in production. It's got the rubber handle, a little bit of a different side plate, but they're still made in the USA. And if you put the two side by side, you can see that the frame is about the same size, but the diameter of the side plates is smaller. So that's the change between the 65 and then going up to the the 66, 7, and 8 in the series. Mechanically inside, if you can service one, you can service the other. They have almost an identical mechanical setup. However, the pieces and parts are bigger in the bigger reel. Okay. He also took the time to show me a reel that he got on a pole. The pole was Glib, G-L-I-B-E. Now, I'm not an expert on fishing poles, and it did have a Brooklyn, New York signature on it. I know nothing of that pole manufacturer, and if anybody knows a little bit about that, again, it's Glib, G-L-I-B-E, in Brooklyn, New York. If you want to share your expertise on that, tell us a little bit more about it, you can. This one is the Ocean City Sea Lake. I have done a video on the Sea Lake. Just like many of these reels at the time, there is no free spool. You won't find a lever. This is a direct drive reel. It goes both forward and backwards, and it's lefty or righty. It doesn't matter how you use this reel. It's a bigger version of the classic older reels, like this one. This one's much smaller, of course, but they're just direct drive reels that can stand up. These can handle some pretty big fish out there, whether you're catfishing or you're doing some ocean fishing with the reel. It's just real tight, and we know, generally speaking, what real tight means that all the greases have dried or evaporated. You're down to metal on metal, or you may have sludge in the reel that's causing that reel to be a problem. Well, he's a Penn fanatic, that's for sure. The next one up then is this one's the Penn Peerless 9. And on my project introductions earlier, I noted that the 9 is comparable to the 209 and the 309, not the 109. The 109, when you trip the free spool release, the handle will turn backwards. On the number 9, it does not. So those are two design changes between the two. The 9 has the override for the handle release, and the 109 does not. He did mention that he's missing a couple of screws on the bottom. The line guide is out of position, and other than that, it'll get clean, tuned up, and get ready to go fishing. Well, Jim's son also fishes with him, and he gave me an Avenger, which is an Okuma reel, bait feeder. So there's really a couple of Okuma bait feeders out there. The Avenger is the lower priced of the two. The Coronado would be the second one. And it looks like it's working, but it's very sluggish. And as I'm looking at the release pad here, it looks like there's a lot of salt buildup in there. So chances are this reel just needs a good cleaning. And when we were talking that, he said that the reel was getting stuck. And it is. We kind of went through this. But it bottoms out on the reel. Well, if you have a reel that's bottoming out, the chances are that the little Teflon washer on top of the click ratchet is either missing or it's worn. So that probably needs replacement there, in addition to a good cleaning of that reel. All right, this is a beauty. This is an original. This is a Penn Squider 140. It's got the plastic spool, and some people think that, oh, the plastic spool is a cheaper version of the metal one. Not so. The plastic spool was put on these reels so that you could cast further. It's a lighter weight spool, so there's less resistance when you're throwing the line. That enables you to throw the line further than the metal one. The metal one was used traditionally from boat or pier as a drop fishing line, where you could store more capacity on the spool, which means you could go to deeper depths, and the metal spool would hold up more with a lot of weight on it. Unfortunately, with the plastic spools, you get the chips and cracks. Now, this one does not have the chips and cracks. And if you're going deep with the metal spool, well, this has got a very low gear ratio. It might be 3-to-1. And if you're going into 60, 70, 80 feet of water, your arm's going to be tired by the end of the day. Beautiful reel, though, well ahead of its time. All right, we have a couple of Delmars here, varying in shape. This is a Delmar. I think they're all in the same era. You can see what not washing your reel off after a trip does. It allows the salt water to corrode the metal plating, and eventually all that plating disappears. The pitting is not good for that. The pitting will wear the line, so you have to take care of those reels. Here's a second one. This one's in much better condition. Still has that little ring of the saltwater corrosion, and Jim told me make sure that all of the drags on these are good. And here's the last one, and this one again, the same idea. This one has a plastic spool as opposed to a metal spool, but this is also the Penn Delmar. If you have the Penn Seaboy, the 85, the Delmar, which is the 285, and the Long Beach 60, most of those internal gearing parts are pretty much the same. If you look at the Delmar versus the Seaboy, the chrome is going to be better on the metal, and you're going to have a torpedo or a football handle as opposed to a little cone type of a handle. Other than that, the reel really doesn't change very much. When you go to the Long Beach, you have the beauty ring, the chrome ring, that's protecting those side plates from breaking. That's a weakness of this reel. And finally, we have one more. This is a J.A. Cokes. A lot of people think that that name is jealousy or something when I see these on eBay, but it's J.A. Cokes. J.A. Cokes was a California reel manufacturer. I believe it was Joseph was his first name, the J. And this one's got a knock. That's the bearing, and I don't know if we can find a replacement anywhere for that. We're going to have to take a look. If not, we're just going to have to overpack that with grease, or he's going to have to live with that. But it can certainly fish, but it's going to tell all the fish in the area that you're around. Okay, well, that's a preview of what Jim brought to me. I'm going to work on these over time. This is not the urgent projects that I typically get in. They're the good winter projects, right? And this is the time of year you should be thinking about doing your reels. Before that first run happens, you don't want to grab a pole and have last year's line on it and have last year's issues with the reels maybe that you forgot to address. Then you get out on a run and you start snapping line or the reel breaks on you. This is a good time to do it. And again, if you have any of these reels, most of the videos on how to service these reels are in my library, and I would encourage you to go look for them as you begin to do your servicing. So, to everybody who's a first responder and essential personnel, thank you for everything you've done and are doing to help keep us safe as the pandemic winds down. And to all, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.